Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
From the beautiful city of Abuja, it is my pleasure to welcome you to this week's edition of Money Radio, and you are on to the National Economist segment of the program. Today, we are discussing a topic that says, when will the Ajaokuta Steel Company bring returns on investment to Nigeria? In the studio to discuss that with me is Mr. Anthony Uko, our in-house analyst. You're welcome.
Thank you.
You look bright this Monday afternoon, as bright as the sun. My name is Case Hammond, and it is my pleasure to have you on the program on the show today. So, when will Ajaokuta Steel Company begin to bring some return on investment? This is a 43-year, we are in the 43rd year now. This project started in 1979, and we are still at where we are. Stakeholders, including factory workers, people who are into procurement and those inner things, the things that have to do with the workability, the working of the plant, say it is between 98 and 99% completed. I don't understand why the Ajaokuta Steel Company has not been able to produce one rod. Please walk us through, walk us through the very process, where this thing started, what is the aim of the government, and where we are.
Well, the Ajaokuta Steel project, like you mentioned, was actually conceived as far back as 1958.
1958.
Yes.
That was the time.
That is when it was conceived, and then the plan, they started putting the plan into motion, into operation. But the actual commencement of building the plant is what started in 1979.
So we're talking about a pre-colonial project here.
Yes, that is exactly what it means.
My God.
So we see how far it is since Nigeria conceived this project, and then how far it has taken. And one thing I want to point out here again is that I have been hearing since 1994, this project has been at 98% completion level.
And I would like to remind you, the federal government spends money on this project every year. People are being paid.
Yes. It's the plant and all the workings and everything is on the federal government's payroll. Most of the expenses, which in the last 5 years has got about $2.5 billion.
We're talking about salaries here. We're talking about other overheads, including maintenance.
Yes, that is exactly what I'm talking. On the overall, the project has got nothing less than $6 billion since inception,
and we are still at 98%.
And we are still at 98%. Then you know one thing that bugs me. In 1994. That is what I find so difficult to understand. And over the years, now they may still be touting that level of completion, but it's not so, because over the years since that 1994, depreciation
of course.
Of many of the components
would have
come in. So
not just the depreciation, technology may have put some of those.
Some of those components are now obsolete.
Out of years.
So when it's erroneous for us to keep saying that it's at 99, 98%, 99% completion.
I keep wondering why would the federal government spend $6 billion and just allow it to go to waste like that? You know, 6 billion is it's a huge amount.
It's a huge amount. And we are not talking of
Six
6
billion,
billion now that the exchange rate
yes,
is at where it is now.
yes, that is huge money. He said as a result of what one ex-president said that Nigeria has enough money, but not knowing Nigeria does not know what to do with the money. It's that because if a project that was so well conceived like this, and we're talking about the conception of 1958, 1958, we are talking about more than 60 years now. We're talking about
Yes,
it.
of course.
Mhm. And this project is still where it is at 98%. Assuming it got to 98% in 1994, we are talking here about 28
28
years
years,
at
90,
98.
98% completion level.
That's funny.
And for a project of this magnitude that holds so much potential for the country, and also for what they don't even need to look for raw materials from outside. The raw material that is needed, the steel, we have it in abundance in the country, and then all the benefits that ought to accrue um, from this place, all the steel, the iron rods that are still imported, all the machinery components that are still imported. Ajaokuta is conceived to be able to produce them here. You can imagine the quantum of foreign exchange that will be saved from this plant becoming operational. You can imagine the huge number of jobs, both directly
I
and
mean, we're talking
indirectly.
about tens of thousands of jobs here.
Yes, that the this plant being in operation will add to the
First of all,
Nigerian
let's look at
system.
this. Look at this picture on the screen here. We're talking about weeds covering the place. Now, the federal government has been touting this assembly plants of that is to localize the assembly of vehicles and with time to produce vehicles in Nigeria.
In Nigeria,
This project would complement that effort
of
or
course.
that aim, that
Mhm,
goal.
mhm,
But of course, to industrialize any country, you need steel.
mhm.
Steel is an important component of industrialization if you really want to produce hard, except for economies that depend mainly on tourism. And of course, there
Tourism
are
and
tourism,
taxes and
yes,
all that.
there are countries like that in the world today that thrive. They are thriving well. But for a country like Nigeria, that is not taking so much, that is not leveraging on her tourism
Mhm.
potential, and with the population, you of course want to industrialize because this country cannot depend on a sector like tourism alone.
Mhm.
Now, for a country that wants to industrialize, you have to make jobs. You have to create jobs. And of course, if you want to improve on the auto industry in Nigeria,
Yes.
and I will remind you, at the time, Nigeria was actually assembling vehicles
Yes.
in this country. The vehicles will be assembled. You have Peugeot that was assembled here. Of course, Peugeot is still having its factory in Kaduna, and they are
Yes.
doing some assembly there. So
But the
uh,
scope is not what it
yes,
used to
it's not
be.
what it used to be. You have Peugeot, you have Volkswagen. Volkswagen is there. Then you have this Aramco, Mercedes. You know this. They were scattered around the country, all the way in Enugu, Asaba, Ibadan, and in the north here. You have this. Even in Lagos, we have the Volkswagen
Both,
plant.
yeah,
Yes,
yes. I
uh,
remember that.
yes. So these are these 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 projects. would all be complemented. That is, if the company wanted to improve on these industries, you have to get the backing, or you have to be complemented with steel. You got the point?
Yes, not to talk of the huge machinery
Exactly.
used
That
by
are
our
used.
factories, manufacturing sector, industry, and all that.
Yes. So in the absence of that, we are going nowhere. So are you saying that 6 billion has been just plunged or wasted like that? Maybe the only use of that place right now at 98% completion. The only use of that place right now is maybe some people are living there. It's serving as accommodation to some people, or maybe a few other things. But we don't see really what much is being done as to bring return on Nigerian taxpayers' investment.
Investment.
Yes, we don't see much that is being done there. I want us to look at some of the dynamics of this project in 2022, because President Buhari has made some effort to revive this project, to revitalize it, and make sure that it comes on stream before the end of his tenure. But we'll talk about that when we come from a short break. Please stay tuned, listeners.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Welcome back, viewers, to Money Radio. You are on to the national economy segment of the program, today being Monday. In the studio with me is Mr. Anthony Uko, and we are discussing the issue. When will the Ajaokuta Steel Company begin to bring returns on Nigerian taxpayers' investment? Mr. Before we went on that short break, we were talking about the waste that is going on. We're talking about $6 billion that are being pumped into that project, and how it will have benefited the country by creating jobs and to industrialize the country. Now, where we are right now, we are not we are nowhere, because the plant is still there, lying idle. Now, having said that, let's look at some of the dynamics, because President Buhari, during this his tenure, he had hoped and he has been making effort to revive this project, to revitalize it, to make it moving. At least this would have been one of his legacies. There is a snag that has actually come in, and this we're talking about the Russia-Ukraine war. And this Russia-Ukraine war, I feel so sorry for President Buhari, because it's a war where you cannot sit on the fence. It's difficult to sit on the fence without being accused by the other party. Now, this would require, to the best of my knowledge, it will require, as getting this project ongoing, it will require the cooperation and the two countries, Ukraine and Russia, putting their acts together to make sure that this company goes ahead. You know, during the 1970s, during the time of the Soviet Union, when this program started, it was the USSR, right?
Yeah.
But as the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, yes, and Ukraine was part of Russia at that time. And the company that built this plant was in Ukraine. Ukraine is an independent country, but it's a Russian technology, so to speak. And to get this program going again, you have to have Russia and Ukraine. Now, the two countries are at war with each other. With that war, there was a voting, in fact, two votings recently at the United Nations, where Nigeria had to make known her position in support of Russia or in support of Ukraine. And of course, Nigeria went in support of Ukraine. And I think that is the moral thing to do. Now, having said that, it is Putin, Vladimir Putin, that President Buhari was talking with. And of course, the modality of this talk was that there was this Russian company, Netprom, that was supposed to bring something around $460 million, and Afrexim Bank and an Egyptian company, and in that syndicate, they were supposed to bring 1.4 billion dollars to add up to this um, 460 from Russia, of course, to get this project running again. With this recurring war, the thing has been stalled. And of course, with President Buhari or the Nigerian government voting in favor of Ukraine, that is like, oh, Russia, uh, you're a bad man. We don't have to do anything. We don't need to do anything with you again. That is a problem because the technology here is not one that you can call China to continue. You can't call Japan to continue. You can't call the US to continue or Britain. No, the technology here is Russian technology. And being at loggerheads with Russia puts us in a quandary. Speak to us about that.
I think the position where Nigeria had to vote between to take sides here now was like putting countries between the devil and the deep blue sea.
Yes.
So there is none. Either way, Nigeria would have, there will be consequences.
Yeah, because
So I'm sure that Nigeria took time to consider what those consequences would be, and then had to, and you brought up the issue of a moral position.
Yeah.
So I believe that President Muhammadu Buhari and his officials must have put heads together and considered the pros and the cons before taking that position to take sides with Ukraine in the ongoing dispute. Be that as it may, of course, either decision would have come with consequences, and the stalling of the Ajaokuta Steel project, which seemed to have gathered
yes.
from this administration, may just um, have been stalled maybe for the next administration, if we were to look at it like that. Except, like you said, Ukraine was with Russia, and then the initial company that was in Ukraine. Except since Nigeria has taken side with Ukraine, it would have to look at the possibility of, if when all this settles, when all the hostilities settle, and things are coming back to normal again in Ukraine, what can be done from that end. That is assuming the hostilities, that this would the decision of backing Ukraine over Russia would put the country in gets protracted.
You see, in both ways, I think Nigeria is still between the devil and the deep blue sea. How so? Ukraine, after this war,
Mm.
when it comes to
It
pass,
comes,
Ukraine will have to go through a serious rebuilding
yes,
process.
and at that point it will be looking
Inward,
inward.
yes, to do
to,
that rebuilding.
yes, to
Nigeria, I
rebuild
mean, sorry,
itself.
Ukraine will need outside help,
Help,
huge outside help,
yes,
to be able to build her country.
yes.
So you can't be expecting money to come out of Ukraine. Ukraine will still need manpower.
Yes,
So Tola is to rebuild
Mhm.
the country.
yes,
You can't be exporting manpower whereas your country is desolate. That's one end.
Mhm.
That is the devil. The deep blue sea is Russia. You see these sanctions. There's a huge volley of sanctions
yes.
on Russia.
Russia,
Russia, the Russian economy, take it as it is actually going down, and that downward spiral of the Russian economy is not going to stop right now. Right now, the West is actually considering completely um, divesting interest in Russian oil, completely divesting her interest in Russian oil. And besides that, there are so many Russian companies and government institutions that are under the sanctions of the West.
Mm.
The ruble is in downward spiral. The Russian economy over the next 3, 4, 5 months, whether the war comes to an end or not, the Russian economy is going to be in a downward spiral. If that happens, and I will even say if that happens, when that happens, the Russians will not be in a hurry to send 460 million. In fact, the Russian assets are right now frozen.
Mostly, mainly frozen.
Yes.
Not just the country, but
Yes,
key
yes,
individuals,
individuals.
Russians.
Yes. So where are we going to get that 460 million from? In a story which is in National Economy today that talks about this Ajaokuta plant being stopped as a result of what is going on in Russia and Ukraine. The story did say that Afrexim Bank has not even been talking about that issue any longer because they are seeing the writing on the wall that this thing is not going to work.
Mm.
So they have probably decided let's channel our investment
Investment
into
into other things.
yes. So I feel sorry for President Buhari.
You know,
I feel sorry for President Buhari because the man wants to leave a legacy, and he's not. He has not been fortuitous. The the times have actually worked against him. So
one thing. In as much as I feel sorry for him, or like you feel sorry for him, there's a maxim that make hay
what?
while sun shines, because you never know what the next period
Yeah.
brings. If he wanted to put Ajakuta back on stream to bring it, make it operational.
Yeah.
So, but the process has been stalled for so long.
Yeah.
It's like the political will for
That's
this
what
thing
they
has been lacking. And many of the components of the capital component of the funds that has been approved for Ajaokuta were not actually released by the Ministry
Yeah.
of Finance
Yeah, that's true.
because of lack of funds. So it means that in as much as the presidency has been saying it wants to revive Ajaokuta, will I say it has been mere lips?
Yeah. You have a point there.
So So now that this has happened, well, Nigeria did not make hay while
Well,
the
it's
sun shines.
yeah.
So it will have to be a story for another administration, like some components of implementing the Petroleum Industry Act, which has been deferred till the next administration.
Are you speaking spitefully about this?
I'm not speaking spitefully. I'm just trying to I'm just trying to paint the picture as it is, because over the years, there has been so much. I don't know why successive administrations have not seen the benefit, the huge benefits that this project holds for Nigeria, and then they've been so much lack of political will to ensure that it comes back on stream. It seems that some people are actually benefiting from the plant being like that. Otherwise, what would be, and those people are doing all that they can to ensure that it doesn't come on board. I don't know whether they're Nigerians or they are foreigners, but it's high time that Nigeria actually takes its uh, how will I put it, be on the front burner of things that happen in its country, and not allow other people to dictate so much the pace at which development should go here.
You know, it makes me wonder: is there anything fundamentally wrong with this plan, the Ajaokuta Steel? Because to get to 98% and you just
For as long as
because,
it has gotten to
yes,
that
for
level,
28 years you have
yes,
just abandoned your project. It's it's it's, it's bad.
it's a common.
Yeah. Um. There is one Salihu Abdullah here. He says before Russian sanctions, government wasn't serious about it. Only bring the issue out during campaigns, and once elections are over it
Over it
is
is
too.
too.
Let them prove us wrong by doing the right thing. Salihu has the point there.
And I agree absolutely with him.
Oh, this might be actually an issue, an election issue.
Oh, wow.
It's
Okay.
you know he makes a point there.
Yes,
Well, uh, people are thinking about this thing too.
of course.
People are
Now,
interested.
the benefit is too huge for so many people not
At
to think,
98%, we're not talking
not to
about
think
25%
not to think
completion.
about it. You know what, really, like I said at the beginning, what is this 2% that is missing, that is keeping the plant unable to produce?
From what I hear, okay, some technology may have become obsolete. Some machines may have become rusty because some
Mm-hmm.
that is it's a Newton's third law, the law of I've forgotten that the name of that law. But once you are not using a
Using
thing,
something.
yes, it becomes it
Yes.
gets ruined.
Yes.
So maybe over the past 43 years, that those things, those these are iron we're talking
Yeah.
about. They get rusty.
Yes.
So maybe it's to replace some of them.
Yes.
On the other hand, of course, if they are replacing some of them, some of these things are obsolete. You need to go and go
Get
back to that old
old
technology.
technology.
Mhm.
I
Then
think. I think.
besides that, I hear that I hear that I'm not saying it's from me. I'm not. It's not my view. I hear that some of the things that need to be done are just like digging gutters.
So, since 1990, 2019, when the President Buhari began to look into this, and then an MOU was signed.
Mhm.
They were the Russian company. They were supposed to come for an assessment
Yes.
to actually determine, so that we'll stop touting this 98% completion. We will know the real level of completion of the
completion.
project, where it is. Because the more we keep saying this 98 and then nothing is being done, it sounds I don't know, it doesn't sound right. So I if since then, I know COVID came in and did its own, and political will.
You were
It's
talking
rather
about
it's
election.
just unfortunate.
Yeah,
But I
some of these things we discuss on this program really leave you distraught.
I'm
It
telling
leaves you frustrated. You go out feeling sad,
sad.
depressed. When you see things like this, these are taxpayers' money that could have been used to build roads. Do you know how much it costs to build a rail? Just take for example the one between Ibadan and Lagos Ibadan rail. It's less than $2 billion. So when we're talking about a rail that could actually link a good part of the country, so maybe from Kano to Ibadan or Ilorin, those things we are talking about, just that amount there, 6 billion, 4 billion, those simple things that can be done, and we some of these things really need to be demystified. Some of these projects they need to be demystified because we look at them and say it's something too big. They're connecting all the states by rail in this country, according to the Minister of Transportation, is going to cost 33 billion. Yeah, 6 billion as well. Of course, to build road rail, you need Ajaokuta.
You need Ajaokuta to be up, or else you spend too much foreign currency bringing in iron.
Yeah. So,
at the detriment of the country.
With your sad face over the issue of Ajaokuta, I would like to say thank you very much, sir, for being here today on the program. Thanks to you, our producers. We want to draw the curtain here today. I've been your host, Case Hammond. We thank you most for always following us. Thanks for your loyalty. We look forward to being here tomorrow with another bumper edition of Money Radio. Until we meet then, stay blessed and don't do what I wouldn't do.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.